Hey guys, Bookie Laura here, and I've only gone and read 2 books that were book club books this month. Yeah, that's right. And I thought I'd do a quick wrap up of what I read in May for my book clubs, and also let you know how I'm feeling about the book clubs too. First book that I read as part of a book club this month was You Can't Keep a Good Woman Down by Alice Walker. Alice Walker is the author of The Colour Purple, a book that I didn't get along with, so I was quite anxious about reading this, but I thought I'd give it a go anyway. And it was short stories, which made it feel a lot of a safer read, because I felt, if I'm not into it, it's okay because the story will change, there'll be different ideas, etc, etc. This was my first time joining in with the Feminist Orchestra Book Club. I think that's a large part of the reason that I decided to read a book that I didn't feel that drawn to, because it seemed like a great book club and I just wanted to get involved. I think it's worth saying right from the start that me and this book do not get along. I think it's just not for me. I feel sad saying it. I gave it 2 stars out of 5 on Goodreads, and I'm sad that I didn't get along with it, but not surprised. As I said, me and The Colour Purple didn't get along, so it's not a massive surprise, but I'm glad I gave it a go. When I read the first short story, the way I described it to myself was that it was okay, but I wasn't particularly gripped by it. And I think that theme went throughout the book for me. There was nothing that I felt particularly strongly negatively about, but equally there was nothing I felt particularly strongly positively about either. It was okay, it ticked along, but there was no grip, there was no drive. It just didn't tick those boxes for me. I did find that as the stories went on, they became more intense and more thought-provoking, which was something I really enjoyed, and was a positive, because I was worried after the first story. Definitely thought-provoking, definitely made you think about some quite significant issues. Whilst it was thought-provoking, I didn't find it entertaining. And that makes me feel bad, because I feel like this kind of book isn't designed to be entertaining. But I feel that if you're telling a story, the purpose is to entertain as well as to inform and to educate people about these issues. Fundamentally, it's a story, and I think that was where I missed out. I often felt like I was completely missing the point. And I'd tick along reading these events about these characters, and I'd think, okay, but that was it. Another positive for me was that it's easy reading. The Colour Purple I found really hard work, but this is written in plain old simple English. I think if I had been more absorbed and more involved in the stories, I would have gotten more from them. But as I wasn't particularly sort of involved and invested in the characters, I often felt that I was missing the deeper meaning, missing the point that Alice Walker was trying to make. And I think I said in the forums, or somebody did, it might have been me, that I kind of wanted a bit coming after each short story, to tell me what Alice Walker was thinking when she wrote them, to sort of help me to think about them on a deeper level, because I think I'm quite a face value reader. I don't dig deep on my own. I have to be forced to do that, and I think I would have got more from it if that had happened. On the bright side, the Feminist Orchestra Book Club was the first time that I've really felt involved in a discussion. A few people had been discussing the book before I'd read it, and I decided, I ummed and ahed about it, and I got the courage to tell them I didn't like it. And actually I was delighted that nobody shouted me down, which, is obviously your worry when you're saying something quite negative about a book that other people love. I felt that the discussions that had taken place in this group, in the Feminist Orchestra Book Club, are really good and thought-provoking. And actually that's kind of the point of a book club, is to talk about the book, not just to read it. So I really enjoyed the conversations that were going on there. And as they're reading a book next month that I'm really excited about, I can't wait to get involved in their discussions. The other book club book that I read this month was The Crucible by Arthur Miller. This I read as part of the Rory Gilmore Book Club Challenge, which is a club that I've been involved with for a couple of months. I struggled to get hold of a copy, so I wasn't able to read it until the very, very end of the month, but boy am I glad that I did, because I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars in the end, but it was definitely more of a 3.5 than a 3. It's basically a play set around the theme of the Salem witch trials and exploring the craziness that went on around that time. If I'm honest, when I first picked this book up, I kind of thought, I'll read it because I'll look smart, because I'm reading a play and it's a famous play, and yeah, that'll look good. And it's only short, so even if it's hard work or really rubbish, it's okay. But this is so much better than you would expect. The only thing that I particularly struggled with was the very, very start of the play. I found it difficult to keep track of a lot of the characters. I felt that there were lots and lots of characters in the first act just thrown in, and I couldn't keep track of them. As the play carries on, it focuses more on one or two of the characters, and that made it much easier for me. This is the first play that I have read since I was in secondary school, or high school. God, I apologise for that. I suppose a lot of the features of it, I'm not sure whether they're features of plays or positives of plays or positives of this particular play. So I'm just going to speak about it as though it's all the positives are about this book. I really liked that it felt they got so much plot in that, I guess because they're not spending pages and pages flowering things up, it is just dialogue, we're able to get so much action and so much plot in. It made it a lot more faster paced, and I really enjoyed that. I suppose before I read it, I knew that it was about the Salem witch trials, which was something that I have an interest in. In fact, before I started reading, I did do some research online into it and was completely intrigued by it. And I think the fact that I was interested and that it's based in fact was very appealing to me and made me want to read it. It definitely exceeded my expectations. In fact, if I'm honest, I didn't think it was capable of a play to get me that invested in the characters without knowing all that was going on in their heads. But you really do get completely involved with these characters and invested and desperate for positive things to happen for them. In fact, towards the end of the book, when I was reading it, I found that I literally went, no, 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 out loud, because I could see what was going to happen and I was horrified by it and I just did not want it to happen. And I felt that summed up how invested I was in those characters and how involved I was with them and wanted good things for them. This is a blooming good book, and it's a really short read. If you haven't read a play before, highly recommend it. The only thing for me which was quite disappointing was the book club aspect. Although I love the Rory Gilmore Reading Challenge and I love the books that it comes up with, people just are not getting involved with discussions. And I know I'm guilty of that as well, but I feel like when somebody else says something, I join in. And I only read it at the end of the month, and I went on really excited, and there was just nothing really. And I think that I'm kind of the opinion now that if they read a book I'm interested in, then I'll join in, because I'll get the pleasure from reading it, but I'm not going to push myself because I won't get the enjoyment from the discussion afterwards, which is kind of the point of a book club. So in June I'm hoping to read, or planning to read, 2 book club books. I'm planning to read Persepolis, which is part of the Our Shared Shelf book club on Goodreads, and Euphia's Death, which is the feminist orchestra again, which I love. So look forward to another video once I've read both of those, filling you in on what I think, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.